Yo, what's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Sunday fun day. Let's get it, man. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. To be honest, I shouldn't even be live right now. I forgot yesterday the market was closed. Tomorrow the market is closed. I usually don't go live until the night before the market opens, so in this case it'd be Monday. But I had already posted the link, so we're here now. Let's get it. Let's get it. Hope everybody's having a great weekend this far. We got a lot to cover tonight. Got a lot to cover this night. So let's get it, man. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend so far. Let's get to it, man. I did move some things around with my setup, so I do kind of want to do a little check real quick. If everybody can hear clear, everybody can see clear, please put a 1 in the chat if you can, 2 if you can't, and then we will go ahead and get started, all right? Let's get it. Awesome. Everybody's good to go. Cool. Now, futures are open, and I'm watching a few setups. So if you trade futures, make sure you lock in. Might be able to catch a setup tonight. What's good? Vaughn, Steadfast, Francisco, Eric, Ty, Jaden, Girl with Goals, John, Garza, Rasta, Nell, Pascal, Sador, Brenda, Cheesy. What's good? Keegan, Legit, Crash, Big E, Brenda, Chris, Christopher, Tupac, King Jones, Retta. What's good, everybody? Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. Appreciate everybody for taking time out of their Sunday to come kick it. Like I said, I'm not supposed to be live, but we're here, so let's get it. I had already posted a link, and then I remembered, hey, market's closed tomorrow, which I usually go live the night before. But let's get it, man. We're here. Let me go ahead and make this screen bigger. As always, we're going to kick it off with the economic calendar, and then we'll get into the watch list for the week ahead. So first things first here, let's pull up this beautiful economic calendar. Reminder. Tomorrow, the market is closed, completely closed. Futures will be open until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I think. Like I said, there's a few future setups I'm watching, so we might be able to take a trade. But stock market, in terms of trading equities and options, are closed tomorrow completely, okay? Monday, January 20th, the market is closed. The market will reopen Tuesday, January 21st. In terms of economic data, nothing of importance early on in the week. Obviously, market's closed Monday. Nothing big on Tuesday. Nothing big on Wednesday. Data really starts this week on Thursday, which our usual is going to be jobless claims at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, January 23rd. Friday, pretty interesting day here. We have quite a few data points, starting off with 9:45 a.m. PMI, and that is going to be on Friday, January 24th, followed by existing home sales at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then consumer sentiment also at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So pretty chill week. We've had a ton of short trading weeks so far in 2025. I think almost every week besides last week has been a short trading week, and I personally don't like them, man. The action's not right. It just doesn't feel right. It throws my whole schedule, my structure off. I just don't like it. But it is what it is. We got to deal with it. And yeah, man, that's what we're watching for this week. Reminder, again, market closed Monday, no data Tuesday, no data Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. on Thursday, jobless claims. Friday, 9:45 PMI, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have existing home sales along with consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. as well. And that's what we need to be paying attention to this week. Let's get into these charts, y'all. First things first, we're going to kick it off, as always, with futures. We're going to start off here with NQ. This is the Nasdaq. Monthly chart has shifted quite a bit since we were live last Sunday. For those of you guys who are on Zoom with me daily, you guys have been updated on my opinion on the market, what I'm looking for, and what we should be doing. It's changed a lot, right? And it changes on a day-to-day basis. And our job as traders is to adapt, right? We're here to react, not to predict. And this monthly kind of is not what we want to see for downside, right? Like this candle looked great when it was red and we were below that previous month's low, but now we have since reclaimed, right? So now we have a failure to go lower here on the monthly where we broke that previous month's low, reclaimed it, and we got that nice long, well, bottom wick here. And again, I'm going to say this because you guys are going to play like, how the fuck do you know? It comes with experience, just a matter of recognition, seeing it a bunch of times. I can tell on a lower time frame that it's going to be a weekly double bottom, a weekly failure to go lower, along with obviously that daily. So if we translate that over here to that weekly time frame, you're going to get that failure to go lower, right? So again, for those of you guys that have been tuning in for a long time, you guys know we look for confluence and conflict through these time frames. Overall structure, overall sentiment is bullish, right? The market is very bullish. We have overall higher highs, higher lows, and we've held them for some time. So going into this monthly chart and this weekly chart, us seeing a pullback was normal, right? Now we have another higher low on the weekly, right? So this overall uptrend is still very much so intact. And as traders, we're doing everything in our power to find tools, patterns, price action to help us gauge what could happen on the chart. And looking at this chart, we have a beautiful bull flag here, which is an indication of continuation, right? We pulled back, got that new higher low, forming a beautiful bull flag. Very strong weekly closure through last week's session after failing that previous week's low, which is going to translate to that failure to go lower on the daily. Right, that little wick there is going to translate to that double bottom failure to go lower. And it's also important to note that we have rising volume. So from a bullish standpoint, this is great, right? We have another higher low on the weekly, got that monthly failure. And if we go down here to the daily, you're also going to notice that this is aligned with that monthly and weekly. So if we're going into the charts this week, you know, charts look good, great for higher, right? Once you get down to this daily, you can clearly see that we bounced off of a macro demand. So the context for a reversal was indeed there, right? We had this macro demand here, swept those previous low, put in a new low, and obviously we made that nice little move higher here. Now, what I want to talk about is the big question, because obviously we have our all-time highs here, right? This is the main high point. Big sell-off FOMC, pop, lower high on the daily, right? Came back down, equal low, popped back up, lower high, pushed into new lows, so we had a lower low here. Now, the big question is here, right? This is what I really want to focus on at the moment is where we're currently trading. What is going to happen, right? We had a pop here, 3-day move higher, lower high, massive dump. Bottom, 3-day pop, lower high, massive dump. If you look at the chart here, we have our bottom, 3-day, well, essentially a 4-day move. Except what's different about this is, again, this comes with time and experience. I can tell on a lower time frame that we have a structure shift, right? And I can tell that because of this wick and this wick here, right? That indicates a high point and a low point. So once we go down to the hourly, we're going to see something like this. So we can see on the hourly time frame that we in fact have a structure shift. The only thing different between the previous two is we didn't have that, which is why that massive downside move came. So I do feel like this move off of this macro demand here is a lot different than those two previous times, right? A lot different. So once we get down to the hourly, we're taking that weekly and monthly confluence with us. So from an hourly standpoint here, right, you can see that exactly what I talked about on the daily. Right? We had that massive support that was broken, turned resistance, held as resistance, then we reclaimed it as support, retested as support. So if you look at this chart from an hourly standpoint, it's also very bullish, right? We have our low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, right? Like this chart is bullish, right? In fact, right? Pair with that weekly, the monthly, the daily, everything's intact here. Now, like I stated, the big question is what happens, right? We broke this downtrend. That's very evident. Right? That's the big difference between the two previous pops also, right? We had this nice little downtrend here, which we broke, and now we're currently approaching it as resistance turns support, which is the trade that I wanted you guys to check out with me. So what I'm watching for this week ahead on NQ is a few things, right? First things first, you guys can clearly note this major supply here at 21,700, 21,650. That is clearly a major supply, and we rejected it last week. Awesome. Got it. So with that being said, there is a possibility of us seeing nice downside from here, right? Rejected this major supply. Now we have a lower high here from that previous high. So if we get weak here, it is a possibility that we could see lower. So we need to be open-minded as long as we're below this 21,700. Yes, those higher time frames look bullish, but again, as you see from an hourly standpoint here, this can get tricky, right? This can get very tricky. So getting into the nitty gritty here, what we need to be watching is, first things first, if we pop back into this 21,650, 21,700 area, this is the big inflection point, right? Once we approach this area, if we show weakness, I am open to taking a reject off of this area here of 21,700, 21,650. Now, obviously, the main watch after we built off this demand is a breakout, right? If we can get above that 21,700, I think the market can get very, 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 very squeezy back into 21,800, potentially even at 21,000. So to the upside, line in the sand, 21,700. If we show weakness into that area, I am open to a reject, right? If we push into this area, show weakness, I am open to a reject. But obviously, the main watch here is going to be push into this 21,700, get above it, we long that dip, and look for a move back into 21,700, 21,800. That's going to be the game plan there. Now, what I want to talk about is for tonight, right? A setup that I'm watching right now. As we spoke about on a higher time frame, we can clearly see we have a big demand here, 21,500, which was the inflection point from that daily chart. Now, if you look at this chart, I really don't like taking bounces after a strong reject. So depending on how we approach is how I'm going to judge this, right? So if we pull back here into this 21,500 and we start to show strength, base a little bit, I'm open for a long position, right? I'm open for a long position back into this 21,600, ultimately targeting those highs. Now, if we pull back here and we're super weak, I'm going to stay patient, right? I'm going to stay patient for a break and hold below that 21,480, 21,500, and then I'm going to look to short the pops back down into this 21,300 area. We have a massive imbalance to fill here from CPI, right? You guys can see from CPI, we created that massive imbalance. Normally, what we see when we have those big imbalances, they tend to get filled pretty quick. So that's what I'll be watching to the downside. Big inflection point is going to be that 21,500, 21,480 area. Pull back, start to show strength here. We can look for that long. But obviously, if we're approaching it very weak, wait for that break and hold below, and that'll be our trigger to go short down into 21,300. And then this macro demand at 21,140, 21,200, and that's where we can flip long for a higher confidence demand bounce on NQ. And that would be my game plan there. Now, if you want to get down to a lower time frame analysis here, talk about 5 minute, 15 minute, a trade that we could take throughout the live as a scalp, what are we watching here is a few things, right? You can see we're kind of consolidating in a nice little wedge here. We got this upper trend line resistance. We got this lower trend line resistance been holding. And if you look at NQ now, we are at the boiling point, right? There's nowhere left for NQ to go here, right? We're getting into this point where there's nowhere left to go, right? The big question is, where does it go? So when we have a trade like this that's consolidated into a nose where there's nowhere left for it to go, the only place for it to go is to break out. So what I would be watching here is if we can reclaim this structure at 21,575, if we can get above that, that's where we could look for that pullback to go long, targeting 21,600, ultimately targeting these highs here at 21,660, 21,700 at that upper resistance from that supply. That's what I would watch here if we do break this wedge tonight, to look for that long back into those highs. Now, on the flip side, if we somehow break down here, which I'm completely open to, we can use that 21,540, that previous structure, as our reference to go short back down into that 21,500, and then we can judge what we want to do here at that 21,500. That's what I would be watching there on NQ for tonight and obviously this upcoming trading week. And yeah, man, that's what I'm watching on NQ. Let's go ahead and hop over here to ES. I know a lot of you guys like to follow along, so let me know when you guys are ready, and we will rock out. This is ES here. This is ES here, so let me know when you guys are ready. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's get it. So, this is the S&P here. ES. Now, as you guys can see, overall structure, obviously very bullish, right? We can all see that higher highs, higher lows. Overall structure here on the monthly is indeed very bullish. But what I want to talk about is where we're currently trading, right? If we get down to the nitty gritty here on this monthly time frame, there's a couple important things to note. One is where we bounce from. Again, this comes with time and experience, but this on a lower time frame is going to be a massive demand, right? We can see that kind of flat bottom here on the weekly would be that demand, daily would be that demand, and you can see on the monthly here, we pushed right down into this macro demand, failed that previous month's low. Now we reclaimed and have this nice little bullish pin bar here. So from a monthly standpoint, this would still be considered a very bullish chart. And taking that with us to the weekly, you're going to see exactly what I was talking about with that macro demand and that flat bottom, which we bounced off that psychological level of 5,800. So now on this weekly time frame, we now have yet another higher low. Right, bounced off this macro demand here, which is proven to be a very, very, very significant level. And if you notice, the bounce here was accompanied with high volume, which is what you want to see in terms of reversals. So again, going from NQ to ES here, both of these charts are in correlation in terms of looking great for higher, right? And if you even dissect this a little bit further on the weekly, we failed that previous week's low, attempted to go lower, failed, and reclaimed, which is going to translate to that daily double bottom and failure to go lower, right? So if you look at this chart again, push into this macro demand after breaking that previous daily low, creating that double bottom, failure to go lower, which is a bullish reversal pattern. And now obviously you can see we're trading back up here. So the context for higher is there in my opinion. Taking that monthly, that weekly, that daily into the hourly, we're going to be able to make a much better rational decision, having that confluence and confidence from those higher time frames. And looks like we might get that NQ trade. If we get a little bit higher, I'm going to keep a close eye on it here on my second screen. But what I'm watching for NQ this upcoming trading week is quite a few things, right? First things first, you can see we finally broke this downtrend. And if you look here on the hourly, we pushed down into this macro demand. First note, right? We have that low, we have a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. So this hourly chart's in a full blown uptrend, right? So when we're taking that analysis with us into these lower time frames, say for example, even the hourly here, we need to be looking for a couple things, right? One, massive demand here from this previous resistance. So if ES can pull back a little bit further, 60-10, 60-20, I do want to look for a long position there targeting these highs, or even right now, right? You guys can see we have a nice confluence here with this trend line support, which we bounced off 4 or 5 times previously, along with this resistance, which is now support. This is a very high confluence area. So this is a setup I would take tonight if we get the opportunity. And even if ES doesn't come down there and we get back above this structure here at 60-30, I would even look for a long position above 60-30 back into these highs at 60-50, ultimately targeting that 60-70, 60-100. But the game plan for this week on a bigger picture is going to be first things first, 60-10, right? Same level I just spoke about. This is that big demand, right? Very, very big area here. So again, like I said, have a level here at 60-30. If we fail 60-30, pull back into the 60-10, 60-20, and we start to show strength here, I am open for a demand bounce back into 60-30. If we get above that 60-30, that's likely we're going to squeeze higher back into these highs of 60-50, right? So that's the game plan there. Now, let's say, for example, we reject this 60-30 here, come back down to the 60-10, show weakness, and we break and hold below 60-10. If we get below that 60-10, that's when we can confidently look to go short and target these lower levels down here of 59.50. 59.50 is the next big demand. If we get weak enough down into this demand, we could then look for a demand bounce down here. But below that 60-10 level, that's where we can look to get short down into that 60.50. Excuse me, 59.50. And that would be the game plan there on ES. In my opinion, this chart looks great for higher, right? For obvious reasons, right? We had that massive support, turned resistance, strong breakout from CPI, held that next level of resistance, which is now a support. You guys can see here, got that nice trend line support we've been holding as well. So to be honest, this looks great for higher, right? Now, that could change. That could change if we broke 60-10. If we break 60-10, that's when that chart will change. We'll lose that structure, and it'll open that move up for 59.50. So again, big line in the sand levels here. First things first, 60-10. As long as we're above that 60-10, in my opinion, you can look for that dip back into it to go long, or above 60-30, look for that long back into 60-70. If we lose that 60-10, that's where we can look to go short, target that 59.50 as our take profit. If we come down here and show strength, again, we can look to flip long And yeah, man, that's what I'm watching on ES. Since we're talking about ES, let's go ahead and hop over to SPY. I know a lot of you guys like to follow along on SPY. So when you guys are ready, let me know and we will rock out. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink real quick. Alrighty, let's get it. So, SPY, obviously same chart as ES for the most part. Monthly failure, weekly demand bounce. Almost a very strong bullish engulfing here. This is almost a bullish engulfing on the weekly with rising volume. That's as strong gets if you ask me. Daily, obviously you have that double bottom after filling that gap. That is also bullish as bullish gets. Nice rising volume through Friday's session. Also very bullish, but big note here. Look at where we closed on SPY. Right, we closed right back into this major supply. Couple things I want to watch here on SPY. In my opinion, the levels are a lot cleaner here than ES. SPY, right? Very important level here, 595. Very important level here, 590. Very important level here at 603, right? These are the big levels we're trading from this week, right? 600 is also a major level. These are the 4 main levels we're going to be trading from this week. Now, I want to talk about how we're going to trade them, right? One, if we get above 600, right, we could look for a higher risk long position back into this supply here at 602, 603. That is valid, right? That's a very short move though, right? $2 move. Yeah, it seems like a lot, but it's not really a lot, right? Lately, the ATR has been really wide. SPY can make that in a 5-minute candle. So what I would be watching here, if we break that 600, right, push into the 602, 603, my first initial watch is going to be for a reject back down into 600. If we lose 600, we'll likely see much lower. The reason I'm watching a reject here is you guys can see this area is very significant. Every single time we've tested this area, it's provided a massive move, right? When it was support back here, moving to all-time highs, moving to all-time highs, moving to all-time highs, moving to all-time highs. When it broke after FOMC, massive move came from it. Rejection, massive move came from it. Every single time we tested this area of 602, 603, it's provided a massive reaction. That is why I want to watch that area. So if we push into the area and we show weakness, I am 100% open to a reject. And again, like I said, we can look for a higher risk long into that area. But I'm not very fond of taking a breakout into resistance, right? Now, on the flip side here, if SPY pulls back, right, pulls back into this 595, this is an area I want to watch for a higher risk demand bounce because obviously it's higher risk because it's due to how close we're trading into it. Now, right, what are my main watches? If we pull back into this 590, 591, that's my main watch for a demand bounce. As you guys can see, this is a much higher confidence, higher conviction, stronger demand. So 595 is the higher risk watch. 590, 591 is the main watch for a demand bounce. Is it possible, right? Is it possible for you to go short from 590 to 595? Or 595 to 590? Yes, it is, okay? So if we get below that 595, that would then be valid for a short down into 590, right? That is a valid short. But keep in mind, right, it could bounce early. Same thing with this resistance. If we break 600 and you go long here, you know the supply is at 603, 602. So yes, you could catch a move back into it, but it also could reject early. Right? When you're taking breakouts or you're taking breakdowns, you want to have room to run. I would be much more inclined to take this breakdown of 595 down into 590 because that's a $5 move versus the breakout from 600 into 603 is a $2 to $3 move into that supply, right? So the risk reward there is a lot better, right? So the big levels on SPY, again, 603 to the upside, 595 higher risk level. Main watch is that 590. Obviously, we could trade in between them, but those are the big levels that we need to be paying attention to for the week ahead on SPY. All right. Now, let's get into QQQ, right? Obviously, it's going to be a similar chart to NQ. We all know that. Failed that previous month's low, reclaimed it. Now we got that kind of bullish pin bar there. Weekly chart, you guys can see this is, pretty bullish as well, right? We have this nice bull flag forming here, new higher low on the daily. This is pretty bullish paired with rising volume. It's very bullish, right? Now, getting down to this daily, getting down to this hourly, this when things start to shift a little bit, right? If you look at the hourly here, it's beautiful, right? It is beautiful. But remember, we closed on NQ supply. But between SPY and QQQ, this chart looks much better, right? If you look at this chart, you can clearly see that obviously we pushed down to this demand at 500, massive psychological level, then analyze the chart from there. We had that recent structure here, right? So now we have a higher low here. That's our first indication of reversal. We break that structure, put in a higher high to pair with that higher low, pull back into that resistance turn support. Look what happens, right? Another higher low. This is where you want to be long in names, right? When that structure shifts, right? You can see here, we were in a clear downtrend. Higher highs, higher lows. Bottom at 500, push back into that 510, pull back, higher low, break that 510. That's your cue to go long into the next resistance. And then once we pull back into that 510, that's your cue to go long again on the break and retest, and you catch that move back into 520. This is a beautiful chart, right? And you guys should be doing this as well. This is how you get better. This is how you perform better. This is how you get more confident, going back testing, looking at your levels, looking at your setup, looking at your strategy, and see how well it worked, right? For example, that's the setup that we took last week, right? But this week, what we need to be watching, major level here at 510, major level here at 520. Upside, big level here at 523. So the game plan, higher risk watch, 519. If we pull back to this 519, 520, I am open to a demand bounce into that 523. Main watch for upside, 523. If we break 523, there's nothing but room back into 528 and this 531. If we get up into this 531, 533, that's when I'll be comfortable starting to flip short to look for a reject off of that macro supply. That's the game plan there on QQQ. In terms of downside, right? If we lose this 519, that is valid for a short, right? Below 519, it opens the door up for a move back into that 510. So you can get short below that 519, down into 510. We pull back into this 510, 511 demand. That's where you could then look to flip long for a demand bounce. And that's the game plan for the week ahead on QQQ. Beautiful levels, beautiful chart. And yeah, man, I'm excited to trade this week. It looks very, 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 very good. Very good. And yeah, man, that's what I'm watching on QQQ, SPY, ES, and NQ. We'll go over a couple other futures real quick just to take a quick look. You look at YM here, also very bullish chart, right? Very bullish chart. Push down to this macro demand, created that failure to go lower. Strong bullish engulfing here on the daily. As bullish gets. New higher low here, bullish as bullish gets, right? RTY, same thing, right? Pushed into this massive uptrend trendline support. Beautiful bullish engulfing here with rising volume. If you notice, all of these indices are in correlation, right? That increases confidence, right? The whole market closed strong. Looks great for higher, right? But again, if you look at RTY here, where do we close into? Massive supply, right? So market does look great for higher. Closes were very strong, but we're back into a major supply, so anything can happen. Silver, not much here. Gold, not much here. Oil, could be some opportunity here. Very much so. If oil pulls back into this 76, 75 area, I would be very open to a swing and a futures position if we get back into that area. That does look very good. Anyway, into the individual names for the week ahead. First things first, we have MicroStrategy here. This is an absolute beautiful chart. I don't know how it's going to open with crypto dumping, but it looks very, very good. Closed with a very nice bullish engulfing here last week's session. A nice rising volume. If you go down to the daily here, this is also a very strong chart after breaking this downtrend. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful chart. You guys can see we broke this nice little downtrend here. Retested as support after shifting that structure here with that higher low, breaking that massive resistance here, and closing very strong on Friday's session. In my opinion, this looks great for higher. But again, right, crypto's dumping over the weekend, so anything can happen. But as long as we're above this 370, 380 area on MicroStrategy, I like it long, right? If we pull back, watching this 380 for a higher risk bounce, Main watch is this 370, 375 area on MicroStrategy for a demand bounce back into that 400. Upside, watching that 400 level. If we can get above 400, I think this can get absolutely parabolic back into 420 and then that 450 level. That's the game plan there on MicroStrategy. Looks absolutely beautiful. And a lot of you guys asked me how to trade head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders. Here you guys go. Left shoulder, you guys can clearly see right here. Head, you guys can clearly see right here. Right shoulder, you guys can clearly see here. Neckline, guys can clearly see there. The way you can trade head and shoulders or inverted head and shoulders, first things first is obviously trading that left shoulder supply or left shoulder demand. So in this case, you have that left shoulder demand. Once we pulled back over here into that left shoulder demand, you can go long there with the stop below the head, which is the bottom of that pattern. Second way you could trade this, you can look for a break of that neckline. Once you get above that break line, we can take that break out. Third way to trade it is waiting for the retest, obviously, of that neckline to go long. And that's how you trade an inverted head and shoulders, or if you inverse it, a regular head and shoulders. Next, we have Amazon here. This is an absolute beautiful chart as well, in my opinion. From a weekly standpoint, this is absolutely beautiful. You guys can see here, we got this beautiful bull flag on the weekly. Closed with nice rising volume after that bounce off that macro demand from Friday's session. If you guys see here, that's a perfect break and retest. Nice bull flag after that break and retest. Amazon looks primed for a fucking rocket move, in my opinion. You guys can see here, beautiful bull flag on the daily after retesting that macro demand. That says a lot. Nice strong volume close on Friday. Looks very, very good. Now, what do we need to be paying attention to trade Amazon? First things first, if we pull back into this 223 or 220 area, which is the higher conviction level, we can look for a demand bounce. Or if we get above this 226.60 on Amazon, simply just look for those dips to go long, target that 230, and then all-time highs at 233. And that's the game plan on Amazon. Very simple, very clean. That's the game plan there. Next, Apple. Game plan shifts a lot here for obvious reasons. Apple was extremely weak through last week's session. Pretty much underperformed everything in the market. Nice rising volume through this weekly move here. You guys can see beautiful rising volume. If you get down here on the daily chart, you're also going to notice a big structure shift after breaking this macro uptrend trend line support. You guys can clearly see that on Apple. Retested it as resistance, put a new lower high here on the daily, and then swept those lows. This chart looks great. What we would be watching here on Apple is a few things, right? First things first, watching a push back into this 233, 235 area for a reject to go short if we get up it there. Now, downside, very simple. I think if we lose this 228, the bottom's going to fall out again down into this 224 and this 220 level. And that's the game plan on Apple. Look for a pop back into 233 for a reject. It's the higher risk level with the higher confidence watch being that 235. Downside, below 228, bottom falls out. And that's the game plan on Apple. Looks very good with that relative weakness against the overall market. Next is QCOM. This setup isn't in play yet, but if it does come into play, send it. All right. Looking at this from a weekly standpoint, right? And this is some free game for you guys. Get out your notepads, get out your pens, get out your phones, do what you got to do. Pay attention. You're going to learn a lot about breakouts right now. Not even breakouts and breakdowns. Everything you need to see, what you need to see, why you need to see it, you guys are about to learn. Let me know when you guys are ready and we'll rock out. I know a couple of you guys probably want to take notes and stuff like that. So let me know when you're ready and we'll get into why this QCOM chart is beautiful, why this level is beautiful, and how you can use what you're about to learn moving forward. Alrighty. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to watch NQ. We might be able to get a nice little trade opportunity here. We'll keep an eye on it. Alrighty. So, first things first. Alright? Context is always super important for any type of trade, any type of setup, right? So if you look at this chart from a monthly standpoint, right? Where do we bounce from? Where do we bounce from? We bounce from a macro demand, right? We can clearly see that from a monthly standpoint. Previous resistance, resistance, turn support, held a support, held a support. So from a monthly standpoint, we're bouncing from a macro resistance, turn support, macro demand, right? Take a note of that. Weekly, right? What do we got from a weekly standpoint here? Same thing, right? Bouncing from this weekly demand here. We also have a beautiful weekly double bottom. And last week's session, we closed very, very, very strong. Awesome. So the context going into this breakout, bouncing off of macro demand, we have a very strong previous week's closure. Awesome. Getting down to the daily, right? What do we notice here on the daily? We have a very clear, defined resistance. More important, look at the next resistance, right? When you're taking a breakout, when you're taking a breakdown, there is 3 letters you should always remember. Having room to run. When you take a breakout, you take a breakdown, you want to make sure that that stock has room to run, or whatever it is you're trading, right? First is a very significant key level. How do we know this 166.60 is a key level? 1, 2, 3, 4 different reasons why this is a very significant level with a bunch of noise from previous interaction. So we can see that this level is very significant, right? Also, going back to our target at 182, we can see that this has significant room to run. Going into this breakout, also paying attention to a build, right? A build is when the stock is making higher highs, the stock is making higher lows or lower highs into the level for a downtrend, right? So it looks something like this. We have a low, we have a higher low, but the stock's not going any higher at all, right? Same thing here, where stock pushes, finds that resistance, and then we start to build into it, right? Start to build into it like that. We're making lower highs through, but we're not going lower. Same thing for a downtrend. So if we're looking at this here, right, the way that we would trade this is waiting for that break and hold, right? So the components we want to see going into a breakout, very significant level, has room to run, and the context is there. All 3 boxes are checked off here across the board. So now that we identified the higher time frame level, what we're going to wait for is that 5-minute break and hold. So when it comes this week, we get a clean break and hold over this. Nice strong volume, nice strong push into our level, through our level. Wait for that 5-minute candle closure. Long that next pullback. Hang on tight. Target that 180 level, 182. This thing can get absolutely parabolic, right? Parabolic. Why the next resistance on 182 and not 186? Where do you see resistance at? Okay, I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to draw a level here at 176. Why would 176 be a level? I'm not trying to be funny or anything. I just want to hear your rationale. Last time we traded at 176, look what happened. Completely annihilated it. Look at the previous times. Wicked above it, disrespected. A couple times back here, we respected it. But I'm going to give you guys some free game. Pay attention. Latest interaction is just important of the significance of level. Don't let that go over y'all's head. I'm not going to go too in-depth because that's what my mentorship is for. But there's a reason my level system is one of the most accurate, if not accurate, in the world. 176 is not a level, right? For very obvious reasons, right? Look at what happened the last time that this was traded, right? It's not very friendly. You would have got washed, right? A significant level. Look at the latest interactions, right? We can see on those latest reactions, it was very significant, right? Versus, if we go look at that 176, look what happened here. It's just been absolutely destroyed. Breakout, annihilated. Breakdown, annihilated. Sure, was it respected back here? Yes. Was it respected back here? No. Was it respected back here? No. So it's just no significance there. No significance. And yeah, that's what we're watching on QCOM. Looks very, very, very good, y'all. Now, AMD. Man, I want to love AMD, but I can't love AMD. It's a tricky scenario. The reason I love AMD, right? Either or, right? I'm not going to say one direction or not. It can go either way, right? You guys can see here on the monthly chart, essentially, this is a downtrend, right? We have a high, we have a lower high, lower low, lower low. This is a full-blown downtrend on AMD. AMD's been getting slapped around, right? Weekly chart. This is a full-blown downtrend as well, right? So it's a tricky chart here. But what I want to note on AMD is we're bouncing off of a macro demand, right? Bouncing off of macro demand. Held that demand last week on Friday, right? Now, going down to the daily here, we have a failure to go lower, right? Where AMD broke that previous low, put in a new low, attempted to go lower, reclaimed, and now created that failure to go lower. So how do we trade this? Well, there's a few ways we can trade it. First things first is waiting for a retest of that previous low. So if we pull back into this 118, right, we can look for a higher risk demand hold here. I would want to see a base being built above 118 to go long back into 123. The main watch is going to be above 123. If we can get above 123 here on AMD, I think this is going to be a parabolic move back into 128 and then 132. That is the game plan there on AMD. Now, if AMD flip weak, below 118, that's where we can flip short back down to that 115 at those previous lows. If we break that 113, lights out, see you at low 100s on AMD. That's the bottom line. And yeah, man, that's what I'm watching on AMD. Pretty much covered the watch list here. Covered MicroStrategy, Amazon, QCOM, AMD, Apple, SPY, QQQ, NQ, ES, few other futures. Now, what I want to get into is a couple swings that I'm watching, and then we'll dive into crypto, and we'll call it a night and do those giveaways, all right? First things first here for swing. Datadog, we entered, I think it was last week or the week before, ended up getting stopped, no worries. But you guys can see here, this is pulled back into a macro demand here on the daily. This looks very, very good, right? We have that major resistance, which we're now retesting as support. More importantly here, if you zoom in on Datadog, you're going to notice we have a failure to go lower now, which is a bullish reversal indication. We have that low here, attempted to go lower, failed, and reclaimed. If you look at that on the hourly, it's going to look something like this, and it's also going to allow us to define our risk a lot better. So for a swing entry on Datadog, what I'm watching for, pull back into 137, this 136 area. I'm going to enter a swing here with a strong closure, and my stop is going to be below this 134.50, which is that daily low. Target 144.50, second target 150. So that means in this case we'll be risking about $1 for a potential $15 plus move, which will put this at a 10 to 15 hour trade. We'll even say a 1.5 hour stop. So same difference, right? Massive trade here. This looks absolutely beautiful. Next, Ford. We actually entered this before, and I'm looking to enter it again. Last time we entered on the same demand, same setup, same everything. We caught 50%. I love Ford again. You guys can see here. Beautiful macro demand. This is absolutely huge, dating back all the way into 2019, 2020 held, 2021 held, and here we are in 2025 after 2024. Every time we've tested this level, it's provided a significant reaction. More important here, we have that bullish divergence here on Ford on the weekly, going down to the daily. This is what I really want to talk about. We have that macro demand, as you guys can see here, that we are bouncing off of. As you guys can see, dating all the way back to 2019. If you look at this from a daily perspective, you're going to see something very clean. Same thing we talked about with QCOM. Context, first things first. Bounced off that macro demand, got that daily double bottom. Look at what we closed into. A massive structure just like QCOM, right? Now, same scenario as QCOM, right? This is a beautiful breakout level. We can see that every single time this level is traded at 1020, right, what has happened? It's provided a beautiful rejection or a bounce. Doesn't matter whether it's support or resistance. We can see that this is a significant level, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different reasons to trust this level, right? Most important here, if Ford can get above this 1020 level, does it have room to run? Yes, the next major level is up here at 1080. So the game plan on Ford is, 1, we pull back into 9.8, 980, which will form an inverted head and shoulders here, and that's where we can look to enter a swing, right? That's the first way we can trade this, right? Pull back into 9.8, 9.7, we can look for a long entry there. Main way I want to trade this is if we can get above this 10.2, simply look for that next dip, go long, hold that target, hold for that target up at the 1080, right? That's the game plan here on Ford. Looks absolutely amazing. Yeah, man, that's what I'm watching there. So again, game plan here on Ford. First things first, if we can get above this 1020, simply wait for that break and hold, long that next dip, look for that push back into that 1080 level. If we happen to pull back off of that 1020, back into this 9.8, 9.7, that's where we can look for a swing entry there with the stop loss below these lows at 9.5, and this would also be a swing. Looks very good. And that's what I'm watching there on Ford. UPS also looks very good. I'm mad We missed our entry last week. Talked about this on last Sunday live. That double bottom, failure to go lower. I wanted to enter here, but I just completely missed it. But what we can do now with UPS is two things. One, if we get a clean break and hold above 131 here on UPS, I think this is going to be an absolute rocket back into 135, potentially even that 140 level. Or if UPS can pull back into this 127, 126 area, that's where we can look for a demand bounce back into that 131. And that's what I'm watching there on UPS for the week ahead. Monthly chart looks great. If you notice here on the monthly, we just bounced off that macro demand. Context for a reversal is there. Looks absolutely beautiful. Beautiful little trend line support here we bounced off as well. Monthly double bottom. You go down to the weekly. Got that beautiful, 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 beautiful double bottom. Fair to go lower. Beautiful bullish engulfing here on the weekly with rising volume. This is what an A-plus swing setup looks like, right? So next week, we're going to simply wait for that pullback on UPS back into 127, 126. Pick up a swing entry there. Stop loss below these daily lows. We're going to target these recent highs at 140, 146. That's the game plan here on UPS. Looks very, very, very good. And, yeah, man, that's what I'm watching for the week ahead. Kind of on a time crunch. So let's go ahead and get into the crypto, and then we'll get into giveaways. So first things first here. We check out Cardano, not much. Mana, not much. We'll get into the big ones. Litecoin, wow, nasty rejection. Dogecoin, nasty rejection. Ethereum. Man, I love Ethereum. I do. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Vitalik, I think. He's just not giving us any insight on what's coming. You know what I mean? Like, Ethereum is great. There's a lot of things built on Ethereum in terms of that space, right? It dominates. But we need some outlook for this to really ride, in my opinion. But I love Ethereum. I've been long since the 1000s, been long since the 600s. Bought every dip, right? I bought a dip with you guys off of 2000. Entered before that at 1800. Been buying a dip on Ethereum. I think it looks very good still. From a weekly standpoint here, you can see we got a beautiful inverted head and shoulders forming. I think this looks absolutely great for higher. I think dip buys into that 2750, 2800 look good. You guys can see we have a massive, massive, massive demand here on Ethereum at this 2800, 2750. So in my opinion, as long as we're above this, just look along the dip, right? I mean, to be honest, you could probably buy some now. Buy some Ethereum now. Pulls back into 2800. You can add more at 2800. If we pull back into 2200, you can load the boat. That would be the game plan on Ethereum. I do think we will break these highs here at 4,000 sometime in 2025. I do. But yeah, that'll be the game plan. Pull back into 2800 for starters. Main ad being 2200, 2100 on Ethereum. XRP. I mean, this is just insanity, right? This is insanity. This is a chart. You know, to be honest, should have bought the dip a second ago. God damn it. That looks nice. For a nice little short-term swing, right? That was a beautiful break and retest. In my opinion, if you want to enter XRP for a nice little swing, I would enter XRP here at, 2.8. If it pulls back into 2.6, you can add a little bit more and look for that move back into highs at 3.3. I think if it breaks these highs here at 3.4, I think this can get into like $4 or $5 easily. But yeah, to be honest, I should have entered it. I should have entered here at like 2.8. That was that beautiful break and retest. But yeah, XRP looks great for higher. XRP looks great for higher. What I would watch is, like I said, for XRP, dip buy into this 2.8, or even right here, like I said, 3.0. You could add some at 3.0, pulls back to 2.8, keep a stop below that 2.6, and look for a move back into highs at 3.6 or 3.4. Excuse me, if it gets above 3.4. Hold for those targets of 4 and 5. Yeah, that's what I would watch here. It looks very good. Bitcoin, I mean, at this point, man, it's, if you're in, you're in. If you're not in, I mean, the risk reward just isn't there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, like, if you enter Bitcoin now at 100K, like, yes, sure, it'll probably go to 200K one day, but how long? You know what I mean? Like, yes, Bitcoin could double from here, right? But in my opinion, the risk reward on Bitcoin is not there any longer. Right? Like, if you're already holding it like I am, sure, great, right? I've been holding Bitcoin since 20K. 15K, 12K, even back in RuneScape days. I've been holding Bitcoin literally forever. We've bought Bitcoin multiple times on this live, right? Like I have over $1 million in Bitcoin, right? That's not the thing. It's like a safe haven. It's like a stable coin for me now, right? I'm not gonna buy any more, but I'm not gonna sell any because it's it's safe, right? Like worst case scenario on Bitcoin, like the worst case on Bitcoin now is 70K, right? If we pull back into 70K, that's load the boat status. Very simple. Bitcoin somehow pulls back into 70, 65K. That's where you load the fucking boat and forget about it, right? I don't think we'll get blessed with that opportunity. But if we do, I will no longer have any assets to my name. Everything will be in Bitcoin. But yeah, like I said, it's great. Solana, it had its fun because of all the memes and stuff like that, obviously. Kind of just hanging out, not really doing too much there. I personally trimmed some yesterday around that 280, 300, and I'm glad I did. I was able to catch some Trump too, which is the crazy part. Again, I'm not political at all, but I did catch this Trump move. I didn't obviously enter down here. I entered here at 23. That's where I entered. Ended up selling some at about 68. Sold some the previous day at like 60, right around there. And then I have some left. I'm still holding the bag on. But yeah, I ended up making like 1,500, 2K on it. I put $500 here, and then I realized like what the fuck is $500? So I put another 2K here. At the highs, I was up like 8K. I think it's like 200, 300%. I was up 8K here. Ended up fumbling it, not holding, and then yeah, I'm still holding the bag. I'm just gonna hold it. You know what I mean? It's no big deal. I already made 2K on it, so it's free. Worst comes to worst, it goes to 0 and I break even. But yeah, that's pretty much that. That is pretty much that. Now I mean, what else do we have here? That's pretty much it. Yeah, man. All right, let's get into these giveaways, and we're gonna call it a night. Like I said, I wasn't even supposed to do the live tonight. I wasn't. I had already posted my watch list, had already got the Zoom, the YouTube scheduled, and then I realized, I said, fuck, the market's closed tomorrow. But I had already scheduled it, so I was like, damn, I'm just going to see it through. But you guys know, I usually go live the night before the market opens, which is why I go live on Sunday. And if the market's closed Monday, I'll go live Monday night because it opens Tuesday. But it's all good. It is what it is. Let's get into these giveaways, and let's call it a night. All right? First things first here. Let's get it. Keyword, bada bing, bada boom. First one is going to be first. I owe you guys 1 as of now. If it gets into that 300, we'll do 2. Gets into 500, you guys know the dealio. All right? Let's get it. Keyword is first. All you got to do is type it 1 time. You are good to go. All right? Good to go. I'm excited, man. I'm getting ready to start the next mentorship. First one of 2025. Let's fucking go. All right, we'll give this 15 seconds. Alrighty. Good luck, everybody. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Marcus Wallace. Where you at, brother? Marcus Wallace. If you see your name pop up on the screen like this, be sure to type in the chat as soon as possible to make sure you lock in. Marcus Wallace. Where you at? The Marcus of the Wallaces. I know there's a little delay, so I'm going to give you a couple seconds here. Everybody knows the rules. Here, my boy. There we go. Let's just make sure everything checks out. Nah, that's a minty. Hold up. I can't see the profile picture. Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm 99% sure that's a minty. I'll be able to tell by the profile picture. Hold on. Hold on. I think that's a minty. I think so. Marcus, are you a minty? I know it's not your first live. I've seen you before. Alrighty, let's run it back. We got 300. Yeah, we got 300. Go ahead and run it back. We're at 301. Okay, so this last one, we'll go ahead and call it a night. First, this one will be last. All you gotta do is type last in the chat, and you are good to go. Type last in the chat one time. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. We'll give this one 30 seconds. So I know there's a little bigger delay. Let me screenshot that one. That one is a profile picture. How's everybody's weekend? Everybody had a good weekend? Man, I got some exciting shit coming up, bro, but I can't talk about it. I cannot talk about it. I cannot talk about it. I want to, but I can't. I can't, y'all. I would love to. I swear I would love to. But I can't, man. I can't. I shouldn't even have said anything, to be honest. Shouldn't even have said anything. Yeah, man, I'm super stoked about it. All right, good luck, everybody. Here we go. Dylan Hemingway. Dylan Hemingway. Where you at? Dylan Hemingway. Dylan Hemingway. Hemingway Dylan. Let me see. Dylan Hemingway says, yo, where you at? There we go. Bam. It's a good winner. Tended a bunch of lives. Fuck yeah. Love to see it. Nice, man. Congratulations to Marcus Wallace, Dylan Hemingway. Make sure you guys check the pin message so you guys can get paid ASAP. Even if you win or you didn't win, man, I appreciate every single one of you guys for taking time out of your Sunday to come kick it. Seriously. It means a lot to me, man. And yeah, market is closed tomorrow, obviously. I know we spoke about that a little bit earlier. Market is closed tomorrow. Futures will be open until 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If we catch a nice future setup overnight, probably going to take it, right? Probably going to take it, obviously. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Again, you guys know what I'm watching. Yeah. Pretty much it. Again, appreciate every single one of you guys. As always, taking time out of your Sunday to come kick it. I will see all you guys on Tuesday. And, yeah, man. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your day off tomorrow. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow, all right? No, not tomorrow. God damn it. Tuesday. All right? Good night, everybody. I see you guys on Tuesday. Not tomorrow. Tuesday. Sleep in. Get some rest. Do what you got to do. Get drunk. I don't know, man. Have fun. Live life. Life's short, man. Grind every day like it's your last, all right? That's all I got to tell you guys, man. If you guys are down and out right now, this is what helped me, right? I don't want to get too deep real quick, but my literal goal when I was down and out would just be better than I did yesterday. That was the win for me, and I translated that to my trading, right? I got so deep into a hole with trading that I literally just wanted to be green because I knew if I was green, number would be lower than it was yesterday. So just carry that mindset across the board, man. Y'all focus on being 1% better, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Again, appreciate everyone. Peace.